Good evening, it's meteorologist Michael Fecka. Welcome back to the 9 p.m. all-weather, all-streaming show that we do here every night during the workdays and on weekends. We stream it out to all of our streaming platforms as well as to Facebook Live. So if you are joining us from either of those places, please feel free to leave us a question or a comment. Hopefully I'll be able to go through everything as I go through the forecast, but if not, I'll go through at the very end and see if I can answer anything individually for you. But let's get started here with a look at our headlines. Obviously, we've got that big red block on our headline graphic here indicating we do have that alert in effect for Saturday. We are tracking out that potential for some light snowfall accumulations, but this alert is mostly for potential minor travel impacts. We know this weekend is going to be a big travel weekend, people going back home, visiting family, flying, driving, all of that sorts of things. And we know that at least any chance of snow is probably going to add a little disruption to it. So this is more not so much for the amount of snow we're getting, but for the potential slick spots as you drive around on Saturday. So just bringing your attention to that. Now behind this system, we are tracking out potentially another storm system for the start of next week. Monday night into Tuesday could bring us another round of just snow. Now that's a little bit farther out in the forecast range, so there's not a whole lot of detail on that second system for next week. We're just now starting to get the finer details of the system moving in for this weekend. So here's a look at that alert. Again, we're looking at some wintry precipitation starting off as either snow or a mix of rain and snow, transitioning all to rain through Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. All of this will clear out of here by Sunday morning. So again, not a huge snowfall here. This is just really for those slick spots that may develop on the roadways. And I do want to take you through each model here because there are still some key differences that I'm noticing between the European and the GFS, which makes things a little bit harder to provide a confident forecast for you. So one thing that we'll notice here, taking you through the European model, is it does bring in the precipitation a little bit later than the GFS. So a lot of this doesn't really start until late morning, early afternoon on Saturday. And you'll notice that this area of low pressure that's off to the northwest a little bit stronger than what the GFS is showing. So in that case, that would allow more warm air advection. Possibly even before precipitation sets in, we may see enough warm air advection, according to the European model, to where we wouldn't have snow really at all. We'd see maybe a little bit of a mix before an immediate transition over to all rain from south to north as we get into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. Now this contrasts the GFS, but before I show you the GFS, I do want to show you the European model snowfall forecast. Again, this is not my forecast, this is just the raw model data that I use to come up with my forecast. And you can see here that it's really picking up on nothing. We got 0 inches here in the Evansville area, hardly even a coating elsewhere in the tri-state. Now, if we take a look at the GFS model, you'll notice this is already starting off much differently. Precipitation moves in, again, a little bit later in the morning. This is actually a new run from the GFS, so it looks like maybe it's kind of caught up to the timing in that regards, but it's still holding on to the colder air a lot longer than the European is. You'll notice we don't transition fully to rain until Saturday night, whereas European model, we start to transition over to rain during the afternoon. And just that minor difference there is going to have a huge impact on our potential snowfall totals. And when I show you my snowfall forecast, I want you to keep in mind it's an early call snowfall forecast. There will be tweaks to it as we go through the next day or two as data becomes more clear. But we'll all change to rain regardless, and then maybe seeing a few flurries on the backside of this system as some colder air runs into the rain as it exits, but we weren't expecting any additional accumulation from that part of the system. Now, here's the GFS snowfall model. This shows us getting around an inch here in the Evansville, possibly up to 1 to even 3 inches north and west of the Evansville area. I still think this is maybe a little bit too heavy for this time of year and the way that the storm track is set up. I mean, this area of low pressure is passing to our north. That puts us on the warmer side of the storm. So typically you just don't see snowfall like that in a warm sector of a storm. Typically you need to be on the colder side. So that's why a little bit skeptical of the GFS, but I don't think the European model is fully handling that cold air well, because I know from experience working in northern New England, cold air is very hard to move sometimes. So that could lead to some accumulation, which is why we have that alert. Again, not expecting a lot, possibly a dusting to an inch here in the areas shaded in that light blue color. So that does include the Evansville area, Henderson, Owensboro, Tell City. And I think if there is going to be locations that see above an inch or possibly more, or 1 to 2, 3 inches, that would be most likely northwest of the Evansville area, north of I-64, mainly for our southern Illinois counties up towards Wabash, Edwards, and Wayne County there, including Fairfield. So I think that's where they have the best shot of some of the higher snowfall totals. But again, very light accumulations expected, and this is snowfall before that transition over to rain. So once we transition over to rain, you can kiss a lot of this accumulation goodbye, and most of it is going to be falling or accumulating on grassy and elevated surfaces. So I do think at least a lot of the major roadways may just end up being wet, but of course it's the bridges, overpasses, the side roads that may get a little bit slick. So that's why I wanted to alert you guys to that potential with that alert for Saturday. So that's kind of the breakdown for Saturday. So again, no, not a huge blockbuster snowstorm. No, I don't think we're going to be dealing with a whole wintry mess, but I do think it may cause a little bit of a travel mess, especially for those who are headed out, going back home, going back to wherever you came from, whether you're going back to college, whatever it is. I know it can be a little bit of a messy time. So throwing a little bit of snow in there never makes it easier. But moving on from that system, so again, that's going to be coming in this weekend. Let's talk about through the rest of tonight, just give you your normal forecast. Well, temperatures, they're very cold. If you stepped outside, you'll feel it. We're in the upper 20s to right around 30 degrees this evening here in the tri-state. And we can take a look at our satellite and radar. We can see we're not tracking out any rainfall currently across the area. And we should stay clear and quiet overnight tonight, with temperatures dropping back down into the mid-20s, 25 degrees for that overnight low. And if you're planning on going Black Friday shopping, whether that be early in the morning or in the afternoon, it is going to be pretty cold out there. So you want to make sure, excuse me, you want to make sure you're bundled up with multiple layers and staying as warm as possible. The good news is it will be a little bit less breezy tomorrow, so it won't necessarily cut through your layers like it was today or yesterday. But timing kind of everything out through Friday, again, we'll have mostly sunny skies through much of the day. We don't really see an increase in cloud cover up until we get into Friday night, and that eventually leads us in to that snowfall that'll be moving in for Saturday. But looking at our temperatures here through the next 6 to 10 day period, we're expected to remain below average there, with that cooler air continually dipping down from the north. So if you look at our 7-day temperature trend here, you'll notice we'll be hanging out mostly only in the 30s through much of this weekend and into next week, only topping out at around 39 degrees by Wednesday and Thursday. And then again, there's that other potential for some snowfall. You'll also notice temperatures are a lot closer to freezing, especially during the daytime, which is why we think maybe that system has a little bit more potential for all snow. But again, it's just way too early to iron out any details. So an alert day may be coming down the pipeline for that day, but I do kind of just want to situate this weekend first before we get into that. So your precipitation outlook here for the next week or so here in December, expected to remain right around normal or slightly above average. And there's a look at your precipitation chances. We've got that system moving in Saturday, and then another one Monday into Tuesday. Here's what Monday into Tuesday looks like. I'm just going to show you the European model because both models are fairly good agreement of some snow shower activity Monday night into Tuesday. What's different between this system next week and what's moving in this weekend is you'll notice that low going well to our south. This is what I was talking about in terms of this weekend, that low going to our north, not really favorable for snowfall here, but with that low passing to our south, sets us up a little bit more for that accumulating snow. So that is a potential there Monday night into Tuesday. It would be a rather quick moving system as well. But there's a look at your 7-day forecast, and mostly sunny tomorrow, tracking out an increase in cloud cover through Friday night. The first alert weather day, Saturday, snow changing over to rain by the time we get into the afternoon and evening hours. Some slick spots on the roadways are possible, so I just want you to use some caution as you're going to be out traveling. And then as we get into Sunday, we should dry out, but remain cloudy even into Monday. And then there's that next system that may bring us the chance for some more snow into Tuesday. But that is all I've got. So I'm going to check out the comments for you and see if I can answer anything. And happy Thanksgiving, I forgot. I know it's pretty much over at this point, but if you hadn't heard it today, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you're enjoying it. Lots of people in the comments just saying happy Thanksgiving to you all. Ricky says, I don't want any snow this early. Me neither. It's a bit too early for my liking. If I remember correctly, actually, our first snowfall was the very last day of November last year, going into the 1st of December. So it's kind of a timely cyclical event here. We're getting another snow system moving in around the same time as we got our first flakes last year. But the snow did move in earlier this year than it did last year. So definitely noticed that. Oh, me, give us a good weatherman, please. Sorry. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Sergeant, and Scott Owen. Good evening from Dale. Well, good evening to all of you guys. Hopefully, I've answered all of your questions about this First Alert Weather Day for Saturday. Again, not expecting a ton of snow here, but it could lead to some minor travel impact, so making sure you give yourself some extra time and use some caution as there may be some slick spots with some snowfall changing to rain. But that is all I've got, so I'm going to hop off the live stream. I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 10 for all the latest news and weather headlines. Of course, we'll go on after football tonight, so hopefully that ends sooner rather than later. Until then, everybody stay safe and have a great rest of your night.